open with our Hatzi Kaddish, which states Yit Gadol Vayitkadesh Shemei Rabbah B'Yamadi V'Rakerutei V'Yimelech Malkutei B'Chayachunu V'Yamichunu V'Chayeda Kol Beit Israel B'Agolav Izman Kari V'Miru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Ulmei Almaya Yit Barak V'Yishtabach V'Yipa'ah V'Yit Roman V'Yit Nesei V'Yit Hadar V'Yitalei V'Yit Alal Shemei Dekudesha Berechu Le'elamin Kol Barachata V'Sherata Tush Bechata V'Nechmeta Damiran Ba'alma V'Miru Amen. Shalom Alaikum and welcome to Hebrew Vision. This is our first show of season 2. I'm here live with my brother Anthony Olusegun Dedmon. If I said that right, I did. We on point. But we're going to be discussing about Xseed in life. And we're going to just have about an hour conversation here with my brother and just get into some of the things that he's involved with, some of the outlooks and perspectives that he has, because we want to make sure that we're getting the voice of the people out there here in Kansas City. So I'd like to first and foremost welcome you to Hebrew Vision and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
No doubt. I'm excited about this, man. We've been knowing each other for some years.
Absolutely.
But for those of our listeners who don't know you, just let us know, the listeners know who you are. Who's Anthony Dedmon, where you from, what got you into the realm that you're in now, so on and so forth.
Okay. I'm Anthony Dedmon. I've been doing Xseed in Life. We just turned 6 on the 20th of June. So we do coming of age, rites of passage programs. I actually got my start just from the culture. Growing up, Nigerian background, my grandfather would sit me down. I had to meet with the elders, different things like that. And once I got out of the military, coming back to Kansas City, I have 2 younger brothers, and just watching the programs that people would put them in, there was nothing really to teach black people how to become men or how to become women. And so really feeling that need, but doing it in an effective manner to where kids would actually cling to it and people would actually understand the purpose behind it, as opposed to some kind of faddish thing or something trendy. It being something that could really sustain and make a difference within our community.
No doubt. So as a program that focuses on coming of age, rites of passage, was that something that you were engaged with as a youth growing up?
Yes.
Okay.
It was, with me, it was more of a system. My grandfather was very big in the Nigerian community here and back home.
Okay.
And so he would have me sit with the elders. He would teach me through parables and different things like that. I would have to go through different cultural classes with other children my age and different programs and things like that, just from probably, I'd say, 7, and he passed when I was about right before I was 12. I think it continued till I was about maybe 15 or 16.
Okay. So what kind of impact did that have on you?
I would say for me, it was, it came at a time much different than now. Being African was not popular when I was growing up. I have a funny name, different things like that. Trying to understand why I'd have an accent when I'm talking to my family, or the way that I would dress would be funny. Now all these things are trendy in this society. But growing up wearing African clothes, having an African name, different things like that, you're weird, or you're every coming to America joke possible. So but understanding my roots and my background, really being able to put it in my life effectively, really helped me with the military. It helped me getting out, starting businesses, working with different people, all of that. So I'd say it was just effective in that realm.
Okay. So you had some very traveled experiences, from what I understand, being also a former military enlistee.
Yeah.
And as that relates to man, I mean, there's so many different ways that we can go with this, but just talk about your process of becoming a man, in terms of some of the experiences, the lessons and mistakes even you've made.
Absolutely.
To becoming where you are today as a man, and how that all went into the vision eventually that you have for Xseed in life.
I would say I was a creation of circumstance. So even when I joined the military, I didn't know very much about the military. Went in, they made me a dental tech. I wasn't supposed to deploy. I wasn't supposed to go on a ship. I was going to work in a hospital somewhere. So right after that school, I got to my first duty station, and within 3 months, they deployed me. But they deployed me as a corpsman, meaning that I do field medicine and combat. And didn't put me through school for it. So I literally learned everything about the medical field while
on the fly.
Yes. So I really felt sorry for the first people. IVs, sutures, all that I did on live human beings. And that was
No training.
No training.
Raw.
Schooling, nothing. I had other corpsmen telling me what these things were before I was doing them. Not even how to do them, just what they were.
Wow.
And but I learned a lot. I learned a lot very quickly. Became successful at it. I did 3 deployments, 2 of which as a corpsman. Once they actually let me be a corpsman/dental tech, so I did get to touch some mouths and things like that.
Yeah.
But just in that process of learning mistakes and learning how to do things, I also had to train my Marines and the Army people around me. So finding effective ways to teaching people based on my experiences is what actually made the difference, especially saving lives and different things like that.
Right. That's huge. And so, you've been deployed 3 times. What locations?
All of which, 2 different places in Iraq and Kuwait.
Really?
Buring was right at the mouth of Iraq, so we would get all the people that were going up, and all of the emergency cases that they could fly to us, they would fly to us because we were in a safer location.
Was this at a time of active warfare?
Yes. OEF and OIF, Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Were the
Wow.
2. Yeah.
So, I mean, what were those experiences like for you?
They were different, to be honest. I didn't know about the military. I was not prepared for war. The first time you see an accident, the first time you see a death or the casualty, it messes with you. But after a while, you see the importance of training. You see the importance of preparedness. And I can say that actually worked a lot when coming back here because essentially you deal with warfare with boys and young women as well. But in this society, preparing them for different obstacles that are coming up, whether it be in education, business, or just in life. You have to be able to prepare them and give them, whether it be your mistakes or your successes, that information so that they can really be effective in what they're doing.
Right. So talk about the transferable skills now as relates to the military background and training that you have, getting into the nonprofit field and dealing with more community organizing and more specifically mentoring of young people.
I would say definitely the organization and, funny enough, the warfare perspective of strategy and just really understanding it at different facets and different levels. Being able to look at what is going wrong in the city and with these young boys and in the systems they put them in, and how to, I guess, not only eradicate but really get around them or even put these boys back in these messed up systems but allow them to still exceed. So a lot of it comes down to the importance of education, but not necessarily school education, the overall knowledge or yearning for information. Getting a young person interested in information that is actually going to affect them and benefit them, as opposed to a lot of what the schools are doing. They're teaching kids enough to pass tests to make school more successful or accredited or to get the school better numbers for more money. Actually teaching the child something that when they leave, they either get an education to start a business, they learn a trade, they do something that benefits them, gets them certain types of incomes, helps them with their family, their planning, all these different things, making them effective.
Right. That's powerful. So as you get back, you transition, I'm sure you take some assessments of what's going on in the community that you're a part of. What do you see in assessing the situation was some of the needs that brought forth the organization that you founded?
Honestly, I'd say one of the biggest things was everybody I saw doing organizations were twice my age. And me walking into that situation, an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 23-year-old, what can they relate with a 50-year-old, a 45-year-old? It's been a long time since they were that age, and a lot has changed in the world. We're trying to explain an email to people or texting.
Right.
You know what I mean? These kids are on every social media possible. There's different things that are important to these youth that is a different system than what some of the elders are used to.
Okay. And so, as you go about creating this organization, what steps are you taking? Because I think, people who may also have this concept in their mind that they want to do something in the community, they want to get something started, organization. What process did you have to go through to get this particularly off the ground?
I would say the biggest obstacle for a lot of people is the 501c3. The reason that a lot of churches have it, And certain private schools and things like that have it as well. But a lot of these organizations, they claim nonprofit, but they don't get a 501c3. That's important because you can get a lot of things written off as far as taxes. You can get a lot of charitable donations. You can hit up different businesses. You're able to go after some of the large grants and funding, things like that. Even when it comes to working in the community, when people know that you're 501c3, they take you a lot more serious.
Okay.
So I'd say that's one of the biggest obstacles, and then just making sure your paperwork's right. Something as simple as getting your articles of incorporation, make sure that you have a board that actually supports what you're doing and is able to work through different things. Just making sure that you're able to really make a mark in the community effectively, but then also logistically.
Okay. I want to go to the 501c3. I've had a few conversations with some people, and there's mixed emotions about the status. How would you address someone who may say, 501c3s really aren't effective? If you look at the community, the black community, where churches, let's say even churches being 501c3 to organizations being 501c3, let's say that they're really not impacting the community to the degree that the mission or the vision is set out to establish and accomplish, what would be your response to someone who says something like that?
I would say a 501c3 is like a gun. It's only as effective as the person who has it.
Okay.
I mean, plenty of people own guns and don't even know how to clean them. They don't know how to take the safety off of these weapons.
Okay.
If that's you, then you're probably not going to be very effective with a 501c3.
Okay.
You probably need to put it away.
Okay.
Now, if you're serious and you're actually going to get trained and know what you're doing with it, then it's a very effective tool.
Okay.
For one, especially when looking at our people alone, there's plenty of people that have 501c3s that have been stagnant. It's not going to be effective. If you're a church and you're not doing anything with it, of course it's not going to be effective, just like that gun in your closet that you do nothing with.
Right.
If you're really looking to use it to make a difference, then there are different things you can take. There's courses, there's money out there that could be and should be gotten, but make sure that it's the right type of money and you're not being controlled by it, and so on and so forth.
Right. What about working under someone else's umbrella, 501c3, to I forgot what they call it, like a subsidiary more so? Would you recommend someone maybe even taking that particular avenue full time until they finally get on their feet? Is that something that is expedient for someone professionally?
I would say that yes and no. Yes, it can be very effective and it can really help what it is you're trying to do. It can even get you some funding and things like that.
Okay.
At the same time, many people make a mistake as to whose 501c3 they go under, and it ends up screwing them or something of that nature. So being sure that who you're working for and the understanding of what's going to happen is what actually happens is very important.
Okay. So what about going through the process of getting your board situated? What were the steps you had to take to get individuals sold on your idea and then committed to the cause?
Board selection was actually one of the more difficult things. As far as selecting the different members of my board, I was looking at people that could really give insight on media and what's really out there. That's why I went after Victor Dyson, because it just made sense. As far as what's going on in education and a lot of these different things that they use in our community, that's why I went after Dr. Carmelita Williams. As far as just overall background and the lower stuff, I went after, at the time, the principal for AC Prep, which was Carl Robinson. I have different advisors like Carl Boyd, Mr. Bill Grace, some of the people that you know as well, just because there's a lot of different obstacles they'll put out there. So making sure that you have the right people in the right places, that's why. At one point I even had Umar Johnson, and with him it was more of, he had his perspective of traveling and actually seeing some of the different things that are going on around the country and seeing some of these different communities that we don't always have access to.
Okay.
So just being able to choose and pick whoever you put on your board should have an effective purpose in whatever it is they're doing.
I get that. So now the rubber's starting to hit the road. What were the first steps you took to start engaging the community?
Very first, just really getting out there and helping. Letting people know what it was we were trying to do and actually establishing a presence just in the community. I think the first few things we did was just going out in some of the different schools, community centers, things like that, talking to some of the young people. And then from there, we did the Night of the Arts with Taste of Africa that you were involved in. I think that was in like 2012. Just kind of showing people different things to let them know that you're not there. You're not there to take from them. You're there to actually give them something.
Right. And so now the youth, how have the youth been brought into the fold within the perspective or the organization of Xseed Life?
So the youth component has actually been interesting because we've actually almost separated into three different parts.
Okay.
The youth, I and probably about three others work with the youth directly typically. But then you have the community side that does like the nation building, tree of knowledge, things like that. And then you have the elders side, which they advise on the different things and programs that we're doing with the youth.
Okay.
And then as we get more funding, that's when we're actually going to incorporate all three and kind of blend more people in.
Okay. So let's talk about the components now. So we're pretty much somewhat aware of the youth, but mentoring,
yes,
tutoring.
We do some tutoring if it's needed, but it's more mentoring and then really giving life skills. The coming of age rites of passage are really just foundational things to really teach them different portions of what to expect in their journey.
Right.
Whether it be to manhood or womanhood.
So it's a holistic approach more so.
It's holistic,
cultural,
historical, spiritual. There's a lot of actually anatomy and things like that as well. Grooming, different things like that. And then you actually go into just different attributes. So what a powerful provider actually is. What is culture? What are your origins? What are your passions? What are your just different things? Goal setting. With women, what is the stance on posture? Why is posture important? Because a lot of people teach you posture and the whole book on your head, but you don't understand the alignments and the reasons why they do these things.
Right.
So just kind of going on that.
So with the youth, what have you found to be your most challenging situation? It could be an isolated incident or it could be in its totality.
Originally with the youth, one of the biggest problems was getting them to latch on to why they should want these things, especially when they don't. So like with young men, talking to young men about why it's important to be men and what exactly a man is, when most of the men they interact with or see on TV or whatever don't fall into these things.
Right.
Why is that important? And so actually showing them men that are not put in front of them that are actually more of what they're trying to accomplish. So, I mean, they might see the Amigos or whoever else. It's like, well, they're technically men. It's like, well, let's see who the Amigos get their checks from.
Right.
What do those people look like? What are those people doing?
Right.
You can be in front of the camera jumping around. That's great. But which would you rather be? You see what I'm saying? So different things like that.
Right, so perspective. Really.
Absolutely.
Okay. What about a success story? What would you consider one of the biggest successes that Xseed Life has experienced, particularly dealing with youth?
I would say, well, our success rate. We're at, if I remember right, 86.5% success rates. And the success is measured by the attendance in school, the issues or problems at home and in school decreasing, and then the overall effectiveness that the child has in their life as far as their goals, their life plans, and their legacies. That's one of the big things we're into is establishing a legacy and writing a legacy letter to really solidify a lot of this training to make sure that whatever direction you are choosing with your passions and purpose, you have a road to get there.
Right, so there's a rubric that you all use for that?
Yes.
That's deep. So what ongoing projects with the youth do you all have going on right now? I mean, you mentioned some of the things, but, just to kind of reiterate.
So one of them, actually, we're going to be putting a young man through a separate rites of passage, just because we want to see how effective that is as opposed to going at the group. And if this is successful like we think it will be, then we'll end up doing situations where we have what we're doing as far as rites of passage, but then we actually will put certain ones through ceremonies and things like that within the community. So that should be big. And it's going to be, ironically, my youngest brother who just turned 16. He should complete around middle to the end of July.
Okay.
So we'll end up doing the ceremony and all of that at that point.
So what about the parental engagement? How have you found that in dealing with the youth, being mean, I'm sure a major component of success, but what has that experience been like?
It's been interesting. It can be a help or it can really hurt, to be honest. And I've seen the hurt, ironically, more with the women's side. I have seen problems with the men's as well, but the focus on certain religions, the focus is on certain fears within our community. When you're teaching a young person how to truly be effective and separate themselves from certain things to really proceed and go forward, one of the things I've seen is parents may look at that and say, well, I did that. Are you saying I'm in the wrong? It's like, no, we're not saying you're in the wrong. Example, one of the biggest things we had was talking about having children and striving to find your soulmate and the person that you actually matched with, as opposed to experimenting as much.
Right.
And, trying to find that person, whether it be marriage or whatever, figuring out where you need to go and making sure that it's on purpose. Well, just because my child's not planned doesn't mean my child isn't worthy. It's like, well, no one said your child's not worthy, but now all of a sudden the parent feels the type of way based on the way, whatever may have happened, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
But because what their child is being taught, again, this is a rubric. This is something that we're going through to really try to help and change the mindset of the people within the community. It's not to say anybody that's made this decision is right or wrong or lesser than. It's
It's an experience.
Absolutely.
Right. So with that being the case, are there like maybe ancestral references that you all would use and show that there were perhaps different standards that were done?
Absolutely.
Just to make it more objective and less subjective?
So one of the things we go through is some of the different, I'll call it the laws of parables between some of the tribes. So the Yoruba tribes, the Igbo tribes, the Bantu tribes, some of these different tribes looked at different things.
Right.
And the reason that we do that is because, like you said, there needs to be a certain level or standard that's held that's not coming from a person right now, right here. Because then it becomes that person's word as opposed to what's been selected. So that's one of the things that we found is important.
How was that? Was that received better, perhaps?
No. It was not. It really was not. Yes. Absolutely. I mean, I've had people that have come in and told me about their third eye being awakened and blinking, and that's why just crazy stuff. It's like I hear all of that, and that's wonderful.
Right.
But at the same time, we're going in because what we were doing was actually talking about cell salts in different parts of the body and so on with children. And so we were talking about the health issues that are in the black community, the different things that are eaten, liquor consumption, cigarettes, marijuana, all these different things. We're talking about the effects within the body, whether it be the secretions or whatever.
Right.
And had a parent come in and they were upset because we were talking about secretions and the fact that weed does something with secretions in the body. Well, weed does nothing wrong to you. It's natural, it's a plant, this and that.
Right.
You're telling my child weed should not be consumed. It's
Like you passing it off to the children?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Mind you, at the time, the class is like 11 and 12-year-olds, so I'm like, why was this a home conversation?
Right.
I mean, if you're doing that in front of your child, that's your business, but for you to get upset with something that actually happens within the human body.
Right, physiologically.
Yeah,
like
science.
Right.
This isn't my opinion of it. This is something that can be tested and that can be seen. So, and even then, it's not like you were told, your child was told that they're going to die. It's just, we're literally going over these different lessons and the health and effects within the mind and the body of our people. I would think that'd be important.
Right.
So,
Challenges.
Yes, absolutely.
Very much so. So let's transition to the nation building, and I've attended at least one. I think of one I attended not too long ago. What is the idea behind nation building 101? Is it what it's called?
Nation building.
Just nation building? Okay.
So the idea of nation building was really to get certain people from the community together, discuss certain things that are going on that they see, and to find solutions and or gain understanding from those different things. It's more of I wouldn't say a free-for-all, because it is structured, but it is an opportunity for people to really come together and...
It's a forum.
Yes, absolutely. And in some cases, I didn't expect it, but I guess it's healing, just to be able to talk and be around your people and be able to be in that type of environment. So...
Interesting. So, what are some of the topics that you all have covered?
We have gone into things as far as warfare, as far as the police shootings, the economy and some of the things that are going on with that, foreign currencies, what people are seeing with the yen and the dong and so on, down to different things within the community that have been voted on, the whole 18th and Vine situation and how that's looking. Waldo, actually, right down the street, just gained I think it was $70 million. They're going to change it to a district, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're really trying to change different parts of the city into districts, and you can really see the gentrification on another level. So just really finding ways to understand what's going on around us and
leverage it more.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Leverage it, combat it if possible, just different things like that. Yes,
Interesting. So, man, I want to kind of go into that a little bit and talk about what you see, what's happening with Kansas City as relates to the quote-unquote African-American community. Do you see what's taking place beneficial? Do you see it detrimental? Or do you see it like it's up to us? How do you see what is developing in Kansas City and its impact on the African-American or black community?
I would say Kansas City is doing what Kansas City feels it needs to do to truly be successful and to truly be a city that's taken seriously and a powerhouse. Is it benefiting black people or African Americans here in Kansas City? Not necessarily. If they're going to sit there and pretend like they don't see what's happening is happening. If they grab on board, figure out what's going on, make sure they put themselves where they need to be in positions to really gain power or authority or even a chance of being with the growth of the city. I think that's important.
Right.
I do see a lot of our people moving out to the Raytowns, the Raymores, the Blue Springs. They're moving to the outskirts. They're selling their houses. They're getting rid of this area. They're getting a few extra dollars and thinking that's something great, but man, you can see it. I mean, when I left, there were gangs here. When I left for the military, I came back, and everywhere I was told not to go growing up is like, a shopping center. I mean, they got shopping centers. You got full-on restaurants. Like they've taken things out and made parking garages.
Right. Violence is now more out south.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Suburban areas.
And that's new to me. I'm not used to that, but people somehow that have lived here this whole time don't see the difference. And I mean, it's well, now the better schools schools aren't in these grand views.
They're coming back.
Exactly.
Charter schools and things like that. Yeah, that's big. That's big, and there has to be some sort of perception within our community that sees this and knows how to adjust to it.
I don't think, honestly, from what I've experienced just having conversations, I don't think people see that as a motivation or even as a serious issue. They'll notice different things in the schools. Oh, the school's becoming accredited, that's fine, but my family needs to be in Raymore. That's where they have cheaper housing. That's where...
It's bait.
Yes, it really is.
They got Section 8 out there.
Yeah, I'm just like...
Why?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody was allowed in Raymore or these areas.
Right.
I went to Raytown. That's where I graduated high school from. When I was in Raytown, there was probably 40% black. I went to visit that school just 2 years ago, last year, and man, it's changed absolutely. Some of the teachers and instructors are the same, but that student population has changed. Raytown itself has changed quite a bit.
Demographics.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the benefit is you do see more black-owned businesses, which I think is important for our communities.
Right.
Both out south and in the Grandview, the Raytown, Blue Springs areas. You didn't see black businesses, now you are. At the same time, I don't see these same black businesses as much in the city.
Right.
They're all being pushed out. It's like, yes, be successful out there so we can get all our stuff back. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
So focus in here.
absolutely. Just the banistery of that Cerner thing, it's been insane.
That's crazy.
Just saying, yeah. They're putting so much money into Cerner, into Waldo. All these areas are going to be built up.
Parkway.
Yes. Oh, yes. And they're doing it in sections.
Right.
But people don't realize what's going on.
You know, I just drove down to the River Market area. and went to the new Nature Zone.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
You been there yet?
I haven't been to it, but everybody's been talking about it. Yeah.
And they got some developments that building right across the street that are just looking immaculate. You know, it's like you're seeing the city, you know, downtown. Of course, that's been, you know, researched.
Oh, yeah.
Power and Light, Vine, what they're doing with the baseball field. And then they're moving people out, though.
Yes.
They tore down the Arthur Ashe tennis courts, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's a memorial location.
They're going to change around Westport, they're saying. Westport's going to look completely different once they're done with it. Zona Rosa will still be the same, but they're trying to find a place between there to put a district, between Zona Rosa and the Riverfront Market. I think we'll see more things that are going to be in the Briarcliff area. Even KCK, they're starting to push people out and redevelop their downtown, and it's funny because you can see this when you meet with the, and that's the other thing, there's open resources to black people that don't look at. The EDC, downtown, the Economic Development Committee, it's right in the same building that has the Bank Midwest on top of the building. So as a top floor, they'll show you full plans of this city in 2020, 2025, and the city looks completely different.
It's a smart city.
Oh, yes, absolutely. They are. This is going to be one of the top entrepreneurial cities, and they're saying they're projecting anywhere from 50 to 75,000 jobs coming to Kansas City. And I don't even remember how many businesses. So,
like, where are we at in this paradigm?
Exactly. Even with aquaponics, it's funny because, you have Dre Taylor, and he's been doing aquaponics.
Yeah.
I went with Port Harcourt, which is a city in Nigeria, is actually a sister city to Kansas City.
Okay.
So, mind you, I'm in a group of delegates from Nigeria, and we're meeting with the Kansas City mayor, pro tem, the mayor, and the guy that's over the council. And so they're talking to us about aquaponics. So I'm thinking they're referencing Dre Taylor because they're saying they have this big Nile aquaponics thing that's coming through. They're going to have all the things with the growth, the fish, the this. And I was like, on Wabash.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's going to be a big project that we're doing. And I was like,
phase that out.
Yeah, and the way they said it, I'm just like,
like casual.
Okay,
This is like
that's not going to be, that's like, wow, that's...
Right.
And he said it so flippantly. I imagine he didn't know I was from Kansas City. I'm not dressed the way I am. I'm not speaking the way that I am right now. But just the way he said it, it was like, wow, they have a plan. And it doesn't seem like we do.
Right.
Yeah. We're just like, hey, the city's getting nicer.
Right.
You know what I mean? We don't need to be a part of it.
Right. We don't need y'all. Y'all just stay right over there.
There's so many people that own land in these areas they're trying to develop that are giving this land up.
So how does nation building, you talk about that stuff, as far as attendance, demographics, and then the effect, the impact of it as far as outcomes. How have you seen nation building impact what's taking place in Kansas City? In your assessment?
I would say different people take it to a different people view nation building, the seriousness of it. It's different. For some people, it's a place to meet, eat food, have cool discussions, see cool people, and that's it. Some people actually want to take action and move forward, and some people honestly have this idealistic approach that I believe is not going to serve them. I know things I've said in the past have not been popular, but I think that black people have been lied to and have been lying to each other enough. So with a lot of these things that we are working on and working towards, they need to be things that can truly be developed and effective. So even with, we talked about just like one of the things we do with the feeding of the families, that came from nation building. And it came from the idea that there's a lot of churches and things that are trying to reach people, but the problem they're running into is that when they're trying to reach these people, they're asking for something.
Right.
So how seriously do you take it? So as opposed to doing something like that, we go through and, as opposed to doing something like that, we go through.
Oh man, I had to take the glasses off. How you been, bro? Maintaining, God, maintaining. I'll let y'all get on.
Okay.
Say what's up to the camera, man. We got you on camera now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big up on one in the house, Sean Malik. Today I'm a barber. What's good?
That's what's up. That's your man. That's what's good.
But no, as far as just getting out and really just giving to and loving on families. not for any particular reason or to draft them for someone or to get them to be some kind of numbers of attendance or just literally giving. It doesn't need to be something big in public. We tell that we're giving 100 families, but we don't put these people in pictures and all this. It's too much. I mean, people getting videos and handing someone $1 feeling good about themselves. That's not what this is about.
Right.
So just being able to do different projects like that, really getting out and giving, even when taking care of home, it's not even about it is about the homeless people, but at the same time, it's about getting the mindset of people to give. So many people go past a homeless person and they're like, doesn't matter. They'll be here tomorrow. They're okay, but it's like just giving someone, they come, they gain food, they gave different things as far as people that attend the event. But then we give them food, care packages to give to a homeless person or a person in need on their way home. And they give money that they would have spent on these different things and activities to this person.
That's deep.
As opposed to giving it to us or being seen. On your way home, you're helping somebody that you know is in need or somebody that you may pass that's in need. Just that whole village concept of really giving out and helping those people that are in need.
Very humble. Talk about some of the other projects that you all been engaged with as far as, in the community, from the one on Vine, you had one in Kansas City, Kansas, and then the door-to-door stuff that you all have done too. Just elaborate on that some more.
Okay, so every year we're trying to do we've gone with different names, taking care of home or whatever you want to call it, but it's, matter of fact, I'll tell you this year's numbers. So this year we're actually, it's a community program that's on both the Missouri and the Kansas side. And we do dental screenings, health screenings, sports physicals, hairstyling for the women, haircuts for the men, food, face painting, water activities for the kids.
How much all that cost?
Free. It's free for the community. It's that's why we do so many fundraisers, just so that we can make sure that we're able to really get out there.
That's a major point. I wanted to just emphasize that.
Everything is free to the community, and just really trying to give to them and let them see people within their communities that aren't heavily funded or anything like that, just really taking time to give to them and then address some of those things that they need. So like with both the events we're trying to do, we're feeding 100 families, $100 worth of groceries, serving at least 100 homeless with food, care packages, and then whatever people donate. Over 200 dental screenings, over 150 medical screenings, over 200 sports physicals for the youth, and then just the cutting of the hair, the styling, just the giving back. As far as the door-to-door stuff, we try to keep it to a minimum, but what we do is mainly we go out in groups of 3 and we just give people information, different things that are going on around the city. If we have like little toys or something for the youth after one of these programs, we'll give it to them, just different things like that.
That's dope. That's real dope. So going back to nation building, I just wanted to really focus on that real quick.
Absolutely.
What are some of the demographics in the meetings that you've held, as far as like, what are some of the spiritual traditions people may be with, their age range, gender? I think these things are important to really kind of assess, so that if anyone is interested, they may feel like, I wouldn't be the only one there if they're not comfortable with that. Talk about, the demographic of the meeting.
We have had youth, as young as about 4 that attend regularly.
Right.
But
a babysitting kind of thing, though. Right?
No, actually, it's really funny. Yeah, they'll raise their hand and they'll have something to say. But I would say typical demographic is anywhere from 15 to about, I think some of our older people are about 40 or 45. It's relatively young. And as far as belief systems, we have, there's a few Christians, a few Islam. We've had Nation of Islam. We've had traditional Hebrew, or I don't know if Hebrew is white. We've had those that believe in Ifa, different African spiritualities, and then people that just don't really have a specific belief system, but are more spiritual. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So how has that mesh been? What is it like? Has it been confrontational? Has it been more just dialogue? Or what's it been like for the most part?
It's pretty much open dialogue. Every once in a while somebody will get invited and they'll be more aggressive with their belief systems. In my experience, most people who are overly aggressive are brand new to this, so they have something to fight for. And many times they don't know enough about whatever system they've just joined. So it is an opportunity many times, if they allow it to be an opportunity. We will sit and we'll discuss some of these points, kind of find out where they're at with it, and even if we can, try to steer them in a direction to find them a mentor or somebody within that belief system to kind of help them along their way.
How has that been received by the people?
Well,
it's been interesting. And it's funny because many people believe that if you're not a part of their belief system, you don't know their belief system. So even like, so we've had people that were of the Hebrew Israelite faith that come in there and they're talking about things based on the tradition, but the things they're saying aren't making sense. And it's like, well, you do realize, based on your belief that you're saying you have, tattoos, eating certain things, all these things are in the, you can't do this. You're not leaving nation building to go to the club and drink and smoke. That's not Hebrew Israelite. I get that, but you're talking to us, but you're about to go take a smoke break right now.
It's not married. It's not married. I don't marry
perhaps, as opposed to attacking people. There's this person that have been doing things in the community for X amount of years. They study on this stuff weekly. Maybe this would be a good place for you to build. You can take the information. You cannot take the information, but at least try to offer it.
It's in your hand now.
Exactly. I mean, because too many times it becomes like the debates and things have become so popular, and most of the time people don't know enough on either side. They're just meeting to argue.
And I mean, the idea of nation building, you know, it typically is not a monolithic thing.
This is true.
You know,
this is very true.
And so there has to be some points of commonality, some you know, denominators that are present that can allow for a nation to exist. You would think that would be, you know, some sort of.
Honestly, some people come to nation building just to see the numbers and what's being discussed. One of the first things that we ask when someone walks in, we're in the circle and we're discussing, and the questions we ask are, introduce yourself, tell us what is nation building to you, and what are things that you feel you bring to nation building. The reason we do that is because when you do that from a standpoint, automatically you're hearing everybody in the room's different ideas of what nation building is, and then you're hearing what they build, what they bring to that table. It kind of changes it from somebody coming in and trying to dictate the whole meeting, and just because they're able to really sit and see, okay, these different people have these different things they bring, this is something that we're really talking about, as opposed to just being something cool and hip.
Indeed. So I think we've covered that pretty good. You said there's also an elder component to Exceeding Life as well? Is that what you mentioned?
There is, but we don't meet with the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is that capacity?
So the elder capacity would be more of what a board typically is of a 501c3.
Okay.
So we meet
advisors
exactly
and things like that.
Off script, we talk about some of the things that are going, some of the positive things, the negative things, and it's almost like a strategic board, really coming up with different things to attempt, different things to curb things and feed things through, more than anything else.
Okay, that's helpful. So I want to go back to your Yoruba background. How has that informed you of who you are, and what has been some of the outcomes of that consciousness, you know, of having that connection ancestrally, you know, to you definitively? You know, even traveling to Nigeria, how has that informed you of your manhood, and how has that helped you to exceed in life?
I would say it's a joke to people when I say it's almost like a cheat code, because a lot of the things that people growing up don't have, it was a missing piece that I was given that I didn't even realize was missing from a lot of people. Even when we're going into some of this different information as far as history, cultures, and different things like that, there's so many similarities between our different tribes that when you've been given certain components, parables, and different lessons, when you're seeing these other tribes, you know why they're doing what they're doing. And so even with some of the books that we've gone into as far as signs and symbols, different things like that, or my time in the military, I was presented with a group of masonry. didn't know what that was. I just saw symbols that I recognized.
Was it African based? Or
Well,
just in general, just free and accepted?
At first when I saw it, it was actually Scottish Rite and free and accepted. But their symbols are actually African. So I didn't know what Masonry was. None of my family members are Masons. So me seeing symbols, I was like, oh, are you Nigerian? Are you African? They're like, what do you mean? Well, I saw your ring. It has this, and this. I'm like, so they're thinking I'm either a Mason or I'm trying to be Mason or this and that. I didn't know what that was. Masonry to me means that you work with brick.
Right.
So when they're saying they work with a brick, I'm like,
right.
Cool. But
That's simple.
Yeah. So I mean, but just different things that I've learned, and especially working with youth and different things like that. A lot of like when you go into Ben, Clark, Asher-Kwesi, all these different people that are teaching and giving these insights. Many of them weren't given these, like I said, the cheat code. So being able to give people this cheat code in a way or a level that they can understand it and teaching them some of these foundational things, but in an American way, makes it a lot more effective, especially when it comes to retaining the information. We went through Origin, Evolution of Religion, and we're going through Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man currently.
Both Church Ward.
Yes. We also did Zodiac and the Soul Salvation, Carrie. But in going through those two books, it's interesting because these people are looking at black people as almost like a science experiment.
Right.
They're giving these opinions and they're talking about these things, and people aren't understanding what's happening.
Right.
The benefit of these different people is the information they're able to bring to the table and their observation.
Right.
The benefit that I'm able to bring is the insight of what's actually going on.
Right.
So like in one of the chapters they were talking about, well, we have a symbol of Horus, but the chieftain did not acknowledge what Horus meant or what Bess meant. But when I asked one of the tribesmen what Bess was, they point to the chief. So they couldn't figure out what was happening, and what it was is when you're in certain cultures and certain civilizations, you don't speak about certain things. These are things that are known. They probably talked to someone and they referenced for the person to speak to.
Are you saying they're more mysteries?
Of
or
course.
they just
well, I wouldn't even say they're. It's more of certain things that happen in the culture.
So it's just phenomena, actually, as opposed to we say it happens in the culture in the sense that these are things that just become a reality.
So if we were to take a tribe and turn it into a modern day gang, one of the little homies is not going to give you information that the big homie has.
Oh, okay.
He's going to tell you.
You
go right down that way. Speak with big homie. If he gives you information,
you're
good. If he doesn't, you weren't meant to know.
So it's concealed, and it's concealment to
absolutely. It. With certain different things that were given, you can observe, but that doesn't mean you'll understand the end product. There's many people that try to mimic the black culture without knowing what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, hip hop. How many people do you have out there that are rapping and doing hip hop, not realizing?
Just service and injustice.
But people don't realize where it came from. They don't realize what they were doing or what exactly. It's just something cool that people do that comes to a beat.
Right.
So therefore, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna wear this. I'm gonna get attention.
You got the form and fashion, but not the substance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, to the point where even where the substance is not seen.
Right.
And they're still out there. They're just not. Nobody cares because they're not as popular.
So I want to take that in light of the geopolitical climate that we're in today. We're kind of getting close on time, but I think this would be a great summation of the matter in light of where African people are in terms of as Dr. Clark would say, the compass of time and history. You know what I'm saying? As history is a compass that we use to find ourselves on a geopolitical map.
Absolutely.
Where do you see African people today in light of, the age of Trump, in light of the age of the strong man even, government-wise coming back as far as populism, nationalism, they call it capitalistic nationalism now, I think, and just how a lot of things are just morphing, where are African people at, in your perspective, with your Yoruba lens and everything, where are African people at today?
I would say
what do we need to do to get where we need to be?
They are technically in one of their best and worst situations. Best because they have so much access to information and we are able to link with just about anyone so easily. Worse because there's so much misinformation and so many things are becoming fads and so many things are being infiltrated that the lines are being so blurred. It's hard to really be able to navigate through that. So you can pick strong people from all over the country and be able to set something up, but at the same time you have people that are trying to take you down almost immediately in anything and everything that you're doing. What would they need to do? I would say really establishing an understanding of who they're working with and understand that you cannot work with everybody. Almost everybody that I've seen that's been infiltrated has done so because they were a little too open in their projects, what they were doing, and who they accepted in their groups. Many times it was somebody that looked ideal to their movement that took them down because they let them in with open arms and put them right next to their leader. And all of a sudden, So, I mean, I do see a lot of people in the community making the exact same mistakes again and again.
That's very powerful. I appreciate that perspective. So, if someone would want to get in contact with you or Xseed Life, what would they have to do to go about getting that information?
They could call the office numbers 816-945-2555. Xseed Life has a Facebook page, Instagram page, Twitter as well, and then there's a website also,
Which is?
And it's www.xseedlife.org, and Xseed Life is spelled XSEEDINLIFE.
Email?
So, xseedlife@gmail.org. At gmail.com.
Got you. So in closing, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with, thought-wise, inspiration, encouragement, exhortation? Is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with?
We do have a few fundraisers that are coming up.
Events?
Yes.
Wonderful.
So, we have the Modern Taste of Africa, which is a fundraiser to kind of help with some of these projects. It's a 3-course African meal. We do have vegetarian and vegan substitutes as well.
Okay.
And that will be July 15th, August 26th, and October 8th. We'll have them at the Publishers Hub in Raytown.
Publishers Hub?
Yes. Which is actually a black-owned business. It's really cool to see what's in there. That's 6231 Blue Ridge Boulevard, Raytown, Missouri, 64133.
64133?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then we have I'm So Wyandotte. We're actually partnering with I'm So Wyandotte in Kansas City, Kansas Community College.
Okay.
So that'll be August 12th.
8/12. You know, what are the times for these matters?
So the Modern Taste of Africa is from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay. I'm so dot.
And that is from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m.
Okay. So that's an all-day event.
Yes.
Don't have to be there the whole time, but at least stop by and check out what's going on.
Exactly.
No doubt. Any other events you all are involved with or putting on?
There are probably about 7 more, but I don't have the dates and times of those yet.
Okay.
So, yeah, but if they follow us on any of the social media, they'll
Okay,
definitely
so
see
you're
it.
actively engaged. That's
Absolutely.
great. Okay. Well, man, this has been an excellent conversation. I thank you for your time, Brother Anthony. We're going to get this uploaded because our internet went down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it went down, but we're going to get this uploaded and got it live on the Scope. I think it's live. It look like, is it froze or is that live? Yeah, it's live. You good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got that on the Scope. I'll get this to you, man. We'll just go forward from there.
Sounds good.
We're going to close out the same way we came in with our feature song, Let My People Go. This is our theme song.
That's you on the theme song, right?
Yeah, that's